It's easy to look on the past and see big glaring moments of pain where we experienced big shifts that redirected us. And we can also look back on the past and see beautiful moments as well. But it's those very discomforting, very painful moments in our past that made us have to shift, made us have to redirect. And maybe you can think about some. Maybe you went through a divorce like me. Maybe you experienced a traumatizing relationship with an ex, with someone in your formative years going to school. Maybe that was a parent for you. All of these very painful experiences in our past, in the moment, we would have ignored it. We would have went around it. We would have chosen a different path if we had the option, but we didn't. And we had to go through it. And we had dark nights of the soul that followed, painful moments of feeling lost, trapped, hurt, alone. Today we're talking about resistance and how essential resistance is for us to be able to move forward. It was those huge painful moments in our past that gave us a gift. And that gift is we could not avoid the discomfort. We could not avoid the pain. We could not avoid what we were living through. And it's because of those moments that we had to shift, that we had to grow, that we had to realign. And maybe for a time we learned an unhealthy coping mechanism. Or maybe in that moment we had a new reflection of ourself, where we saw ourselves in a different light, where we had to change. But either way, maybe you did it right, or maybe you did it wrong. But the importance is the thing that comes in front of our path and forces us to say, this is no longer a straight and narrow path, this is a diverging path. That thing is full of grace. And we're looking at that today in a new light. We're looking at the resistance that meets us on our path as a gift of grace, rather than something that we wish was never there. I'm Daniel Esteves. Here on this channel, we walk the path. We go where we didn't want to go. We go where we don't necessarily want to go. But in realization, we do want to go into that shadow part of us, into that part of us that would rather take the comfort. We're choosing to go through discomfort, to realign with our insecurities, and to sit with that discomfort, that feeling that says, run, hide. We're choosing to sit with it rather than be manipulated by it. Because either way, we're going to deal with it. But here, we're learning how to take steps to have forward progression, where maybe we feel like regression is a natural pathway that we would have because of that discomfort, because of that pain. You're walking on a path. This path is your life. There's a natural flow. There's a natural rhythm. There's a bounce in your step. Everything isn't perfect, but everything is relatable. Everything is normal. And you're on that path. And you're moving forward. And this is your life. This is where you're at. And all of a sudden, something happens, and the path no longer is your path. And now you have a fork. A spork. A spork. You can go this way. And this way is more familiar, but it doesn't resolve what made you split. Or this way, which is completely uncharted, unfamiliar. Which way do you go? Now, our natural tendency that we're always going to find is we're always going to tend towards comfortable. We're always going to tend towards familiar. Why do you watch The Office 3 times, 4 times? How many times have you watched it? Why do we go back to the Disney movie that we grew up with? Why are we so bound to that thing that we've had an interaction with that we at least know? Obviously, The Office is the best show that's ever existed, of course. But why are we so loathsome to try a new way, because the familiar way, at least it's charted. At least we've experienced it. But for you and me, when that difficult situation comes up, that thing that's resistance in front of us, that gives us no option but to choose a different pathway than the path that we were already on. When that thing comes up, we have two choices. Go into the familiar. Familiar pathways breed familiar results. Or go into the dark, the uncharted, the unmapped, the path that you have to consciously take every single step on with your brain and be completely present and completely aware as you create new neural pathways in a new direction. Now, that's a very emotionally expensive, spiritually expensive, soul expensive way to go. But you and I both know that when that thing comes to resist us, whatever that resistance is in your life, it could be another relationship, it could be your health, it could be anything that stops you and forces you to take pathways. Familiar, unfamiliar. Familiar results, uncharted results. Let me tell you this. Resistance is the soil from which truth grows. The thing that's blocking your path is going to force out of you something true. Now, if you choose the familiar route, your familiar coping mechanisms, the familiar pathway, your relational problem with another person, you choose a pathway that you think maybe it's going to be a little different, but it's going to look just like maybe the one you've had before, or it's going to look like how your parents interacted whenever they met something similar in their relationship. The resistance will always bring forth truth. And resistance is that mirror that gives you the opportunity to say, who am I? Is this really who I am? Am I unwilling to sit here and feel uncomfortable, try to find a different way to go through this situation? Resistance is a mirror. It's beckoning you to see new light, to see new situations. Yes, resistance in the moment is something that we don't like. It's that bad tension with your mother-in-law. It's your pissed off coworker. It's another angry person walking into your life and making their problems about you. All this stuff sucks. But we can't stick our head in the sand and hide. And we can't just keep familiar routes, familiar results. We need different. And the truth is, do you want to be more than who you are? Do you want to level up? Do you want to be able to create difficult new neural pathways in moments that are big, difficult, discomfort, resistance? Guess what? The first time you're creating a new neural pathway through a hard situation, it's all effort. It's all uphill both ways to school in the snow. But once you've started to chart a new course, next time something that's difficult comes up in your life, now you at least have a different type of an option that you have some familiarity with. And once you can start to take new steps in a new direction, that's when you can start to have comfortability in seeing yourself in new light. You can have comfortability in a situation that before you would have always felt so tense. You would have shut down. You would have had whatever your reaction is, super angry, whatever your reaction is that you normally would have in the past, because you took the time, you did the effort of saying, no, I'm not going to step into this pathway. I'm going to open myself. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to give myself pause. Whatever that process needs to look like for you to be able to open you to a completely new way of interacting with the difficult resistance in your life. it's not going to be that way every time. Once you start the ball rolling, once you start doing that inner shadow work, that difficult work, it becomes a new pathway. It becomes a new way that you can go. And maybe it'll still be a little difficult next time it comes up, but it becomes easier as time progresses. And before you know it, you'll look back and you'll see, compared to how you're reacting now to a situation, you won't realize how different you are from where you were. Because the old me was so good at hiding and lying. Not in like an evil lying way, but like in a way that made you not realize how hurt I was on the inside. Whatever it was, I had my pathways that I would conveniently go, and they wouldn't, that person that was in my life that was making a big deal out of whatever wouldn't really know, and I would kind of skirt it. I had all of my ways that I could keep myself hidden enough that no one would really know that I was pissed off, that I was hurt, that I felt like I wasn't being trusted. But now, I'm not perfect, but now, having done that work, having sat in that uncomfortable moment and really reflected and given myself opportunity to pull the person aside even after the fact, to be like, I was not truthful with you. This is actually what's going on. I was actually hurt. And that process for me has given me new permission that when I meet those uncomfortable moments, I now have a clear choice. I can go through that. I can sneak, I can hide, or I can sit in the discomfort, be honest with myself, and say, here we go, and go for the ride, whatever the ride looks like in that moment. But it's because when we do the work, we get results. And it's not just like, we are not acting in isolation in a moment. We are building trust and rapport and good love for ourselves for the future. It's not about the other person in the moment. It's about you. How can you be just and kind and respectful to yourself now so that you can build your internal safety, where you can build trust to say, this situation where normally I would fall into all of these different pathways, no, I actually feel trusted. I actually feel like I can do it. And you can just go. This is what we all want. We all want to be able to move forward through resistance, because resistance is always going to be there. And what we need is resistance. This isn't my quote, but the coolest people you know had fucked up childhoods. And that's true. The coolest people you know had fucked up childhoods. Me too. If you want to learn more about anything that I've been sharing, you can click the link in the description. And you can have a free 30-minute call with me. I'd love to sit down. I would chat with you. I'm a life coach. I'm a spirit guide. I'm someone that wants to come alongside of you and help you on your journey. If you like the video, do all the things. And as always, keep walking. You got this shit.